that.
Exactly.
This is a perfect time to talk about the poll I liked, which I just saw in the Western Journal, which is something like 12% of Republicans think that this was a fair and honest election.
Sounds about right to me.
That means 88% of Republicans
Have some questions.
think
Have
this thing
some
is
questions.
Yeah.
Understatement of the
messed up.
podcast.
Yeah.
So
Understatement
the
of the
topic I want to
podcast.
talk about today, moving along, is there still a pathway to victory for Donald Trump? Because, you know, as days move on, people start to wonder, you know, today the AP, I think, added a call in Georgia for Biden,
Right.
a call in North Carolina for Trump, and then another call for Biden in Arizona.
That's right.
And so they've continued to call these different states, despite the fact that the votes aren't all counted yet, and that in Georgia at least they're in a major recount. So you know, is there still a pathway to victory? Well, as I've researched this, there actually is a number of really interesting pathways to victory, and I wanted to talk about it. And there's really two for Donald Trump, and there's only one for Joe Biden. So Joe Biden's pathway to victory is all of these results that the AP has predicted and CNN has predicted, that those elections are in fact certified, and that using the regular order of business, electors go to wherever they go to in mid-December and they vote for Biden. That's his pathway to victory. The pathway to victory for Trump actually is kind of interesting, because as you read the Constitution, it's actually state legislatures that are specifically delegated the task of choosing what electors to send. And I was speaking with a state legislator from the state of Arizona as I was driving to the studio today, and he was telling me, you know, that the truth is that in the legislative caucus, they're actively talking about how Katie Hobbs, the Secretary of State, who's a Democrat here, hasn't done her job. First of all, she didn't purge the voter rolls. And secondly, she didn't check very carefully whether or not people were citizens. People in Arizona are required to be citizens of the United States to vote in the presidential election. Well, according to the latest statistical studies, there are 400,000 illegal aliens in the state of Arizona, and they think that between 52 and 12,000 of them likely voted in this election. Well, this election was so close that just that one statistical anomaly would make this election invalid. And these legislators are hopping mad that Katie Hobbs, the Secretary of State here, did not do her job.
We should point out Katie Hobbs is the one who on Twitter about 2 years ago, if I recall, referred to all Trump supporters as Nazis. So,
and she
not
actually
a dispartial.
She actually said, "I want to be elected Secretary of State so I can help Democrats get elected."
Yeah, right.
Unity, boys. Unity.
So
it's a time for unity.
I know.
Interestingly enough, one pathway to victory for Donald Trump is that the Republican majorities in the Georgia legislature, the Republican majorities in the Pennsylvania legislature, the Republican majorities in the Michigan legislature, or the Republican majorities in the Arizona legislature do something about vote fraud by saying, you know what, this race is so close and there's so many allegations of fraud, and we don't think the election officials did their job, so we're going to step in and we're going to send a group of electors to cast the ballots for our state as we are required to under the Constitution. We're ultimately responsible. And so they send a different group of electors than would come through the normal order.
Right.
That's one pathway. The other pathway is this. If, in fact, not enough of these states certify, okay, you have to realize a judge can't step in and say, you know what, this election, there's too many questions about it.
Sure.
You're not going to be allowed to certify it. And so if the election isn't certified, then what happens is, if you don't get to that magic number of 270 and Biden has to certify Pennsylvania, he has to certify Georgia, he has to certify Michigan and Arizona to get to that magic number to win. If for some reason, some combination of those states don't certify their elections, then according to the Constitution of the United States, this election goes to the House of Representatives. And in fact, if it goes to the House of Representatives, based on the procedures that are outlined for that vote, Donald Trump will be elected president. So there are two pathways to victory for Donald Trump and only one for Joe Biden. And so I think that's interesting.
It is. You know, I have to say there's something delicious to me about the idea of Nancy Pelosi's House voting Donald Trump into a second term as president. There's just something wonderful.
Bring out
about
the
that
straight
thought to
jackets,
me.
man. That will send them over the edge.
There's a very specific,
Right. Oh, I agree with you 100%.
and determined methodology for doing that. It's not just an open vote. Each state delegation gets a vote of one.
Right.
That means the state of California gets the same vote as the state of Wyoming. And so they may have, I don't know, 28 or 30 congressmen in California, most of which are Democrats, and they have one in the state of Wyoming, but Wyoming still gets that one vote.
Right.
So if you actually calculate it out, Donald Trump will have 27 of those 100 votes, and he'll be reelected president by the House of Representatives.